We're back. We're back in Idaho, right? We're in Idaho with Robin. And
Yeah.
so, Robin, anybody who saw the last episode knows that you're a tough fighter. You're an advocate, and you started off as a regular mom. I mean,
Mhm.
nobody's a regular mom. That doesn't that's but
Yeah.
you
Yeah, I
kind of
was. I'm a regular mom. Yeah,
you're a
absolutely.
regular mom, but you met some people, you did some stuff. So there's this legislation. You were a key. Well, here's what I learned the other day. Well, I know that there's 50 states. I know there's 50 states all have IDA in them. Excuse me. I know that there's 50 states, and all 50 states have decoding dyslexia in them.
Yes.
I just learned that you're one of the last ones to happen in there, but 43 states have passed legislation because of mad moms, of
Yeah.
of moms who witnessed the kid at home, know things, are able to research better than the FBI.
Yeah.
And so you, super mom, all of a sudden just regular guy like a Clarkina Kent, you decide to now you're going to be passing laws. So how does that happen? How do you get legislation passed? I mean, I don't know. I've never passed. I'm not a mom.
Yeah.
Haven't done that.
Yeah. I got introduced. We were actually in an election year and we were looking to get a new state superintendent because the one we had previous was horrible. And probably probably many prior were not leading the state well. So we had an election year, and the new superintendent that I was supporting um, to hope have elected, Debbie Critchfield, she introduced me to a senator who she wanted me to meet. And so there you go. We started drafting legislation. It was Louisa, Deb Glazer, and Dr. Sally Brown. I can't forget Dr. Sally Brown because the state of Idaho has just this dynamic university professor at the College of Idaho who was a huge part in helping to rewrite our Idaho Comprehensive Literacy Plan that is now based in the science of reading. It was not prior. She basically volunteered countless hours and rewrote it on her own. And then she was on the committee that helped draft our Idaho State Dyslexia Handbook. So was I. And Dr. Louisa Moats is our author. It's an amazing handbook, an amazing resource that is not utilized because our state, that's the problem, Harvey. You pass legislation, you do all these things, and then it's the leader. Yeah, right. It's the leader in the state that has to implement it, that has to roll it out, that has to hold accountability to it. And I think that's the missing piece so often. So, we poured years and so much work, tons of volunteer hours. We brought in Louisa, who collaborated with the State Department. I mean, does it get any better than that? Does it get any better than Dr. Louisa Moats collaborating with your State Department of Education? No, no, it really doesn't. So we did all these things. And now that book, this amazing resource, is just housed on our Idaho State Department of Education website. It's never been printed. It's not utilized. And so it's just there. And teachers don't even know it's there. Anyway, so we passed legislation because I was introduced to a senator who was willing to carry my bill. He's amazing. And everybody wants all children to learn to read. So it wasn't that difficult, right? I mean, how do you go and testify before the Senate and the House and you're speaking to these people? And is there really one person in the crowd that wants to argue that all children deserve to learn to read? There's not.
Well, they might
There's
keep
not.
they
So it
might
has,
keep it to themselves. They might keep it to themselves. But I mean, no,
they
it should be a bipartisan affair. I mean, if there was in my world, I hope there's 7 political parties that learn to compromise, and I think that everybody wants education, and if they see the big picture the way you and I see the big picture, and our friends see the big picture, they realize they have a better society, a smarter, more compassionate society, a society with more empathy if they were readers. So I want to get back to you. If you could go back in a time machine, and you have this book it's been printed, how would you do things for the other states that are going to be doing it. What's your suggestions to be able to get? You said the leaders. Who are the leaders that are going to get involved?
Yeah, you've got to it starts from the top, right? Well, it starts from all layers, right? Like Big Sky, when we go to Big Sky this year, that it's John Maxwell is going to be there. Leadership is his Dr. Nell and Terry Nolan and all these amazing people are talking more about leadership and leading large because I mean, I don't know this, I've never asked her, but I'm assuming because she might agree that there's a lot of great work happening. There really is in a lot of different pockets, whether it's in a classroom or a full district or, a lot of good things. But ultimately, if you don't have good leadership, it can just fizzle away. You have to have people that are in leadership positions understanding the importance of literacy and being basically committed to making sure that what decisions they make as leaders are going to have a lasting effect. So all this work that you do in that classroom or that district or whatever has leaders in place that are laying the foundational groundwork that this will last for decades following this. And that's the goal, right? So you have a handbook now. You've got legislation in the state of Idaho. Most states have it now. A lot of states have a dyslexia handbook. Like you have these things. So, and then you sit back and you still take phone calls from crying moms as an advocate because the teachers don't know anything about the science of reading and they don't even know that we passed legislation. And you're thinking, what? Why? Well, it's leadership. It's leadership. So it's that trickle down. So all the hard work we did to lay all this foundation of science of reading, Idaho Comprehensive Literacy Plan is based on the science of reading. You have a handbook. Legislation says you now have to screen children for dyslexia. All these things. But if you don't have a leader rolling it out with accountability and holding people accountable to following this type of legislation and pushing out all these amazing resources that are now available, then nothing really changes.
Well, this is not the divine right of kings that we're talking about. This is still the great United States of America. This is a place where there's democracy, and our forebears, who were well read, who read Locke, Rousseau, and Voltaire, and they gave us the answer to this, and that's vote. So when you have a leader, and you also can vote, but you can also threaten to vote. You can you can just say to your leaders, like, a lot of guys sweated it out on the hill back there making this happen. A lot of volunteers did this. A lot of people did that. A lot of them are going to vote, and they're going to see what is that thing doing up on the shelf when we could be implementing it. And if you go to the schools without saying that you're going to, if you say you're an education candidate, and if you go to the schools, we're going to show up and say, well, what about that? And we're going to show up when you go to when you go to the town hall meetings and when you go to screenings of Hopeville, the movie, we're going to say, what about that law that we passed and we're not doing anything about it because we've already done the heavy lifting, and there's a lot of people and they vote. And that's what leadership is. And it's to do better, because when you're at the school and you're watching these kids failing, it's kind of on you to, if you're that leader, it's kind of on you that you can make that decision. And we who've worked so hard for these people, we've worked together with these people. That's where rubber hits the road. So you're a mom, your kid goes to school. Your kid's smart. This is like you said the same story. This is my mom's story. Like you think the kid's smart, but then the kid comes home, the teachers say not so much, and then you're like, wait a minute, it is smart. But then you're like testing your teachers. They don't know the word dyslexia. We can't use the word dyslexia. Yes, you can use the word dyslexia because you read. Because when you do your research, you read. So you meet some of the greatest researchers in the world. You meet Louisa
Sure.
Moats, who happens to live. You live near Batman. You live near Wonder Woman. You know, so you have all this going on. So after you a regular guy, Robin, the regular guy, rolls up her sleeves, and you get legislation passed. Then, so MZ. I always thought MZ was a rapper. So tell me, because
We could make a rap out of it. We could
I'm so dyslexic. Help me out with what happens next.
MZ.
MZ.
So yeah, so our legislation has professional development attached, required attached, for teachers to take professional development, and the state approved, a list of approved providers. And MZ, the Institute for Multisensory Education, is one of the offerings that the state has approved. Well, I am a nonprofit. Decoding Dyslexia is a 501c3 nonprofit. So I raise money to help teachers get access to good training because money is always the issue. And so I had a group of teachers actually reach out to me in Idaho Falls and said, will you help us? We really want to take MZ training. Could you help us bring it here and raise some money? And I said, yeah, absolutely. And these teachers really are amazing down there. And they did all the hard work. They had a lot of connections. We raised about $15,000. And I connected with MZ and brought our very first MZ training to the state of Idaho. And that was in the summer of 2022. And I went and witnessed this 1 week, 30-hour training that comes with this full kit. It's a box and it's got teacher manuals and assessments and all these manipulatives with tiles and blending boards and the teachers are just unpacking like it's Christmas. They're so excited. And it was just really moving for me to see these teachers take a week out of their summer. Many of them had to pay for this training themselves. And so Decoding Dyslexia Idaho raised money, and we tried our best to treat these amazing teachers. And we bought them lunch, and I made a big deal about it. Of course, I called the media, Harvey, because I was always calling the media. I wanted to shine a light on the holes in this state. So I was just pointing out that don't worry, if you guys aren't going to treat our teachers to some good quality professional development, Decoding Dyslexia Idaho will. So we had some articles written and we had a little news blurb. Anyway, it was just really moving for me to watch these teachers' light bulbs go on taking this training. So through that training, I was connected with the founder of MZ, the Institute for Multisensory Education, and we had a chat and they offered me a job. So I now work for them as their dyslexia advocate, and just, it's just another opportunity for me to continue to share my story and to help bring people to a quality professional development offering. And there's many out there, right, Harvey? There's a lot of us doing a lot of good work. And MC is just one of them. So it's a training that teachers really value, really value.
You've said it yourself before, and we all know conferences where people get to see you. Okay, this is a thing called Zoom. There's this thing called the internet. All the kids are using it, and you and I are now talking back and forth. But there's two of us here. But there's this thing called conferences where you can run into hundreds of people. That's why we're going to Big Sky, and that's it's great when our film plays at a conference. There's panel discussions, and we it's fish. It's a barrel. We go there when we want to see a bunch of fish in a barrel, and you can run into people. You get your picture taken with Louisa Moats.
Yeah.
People get their picture taken with you. They get their picture taken with me. It's fun. It's like a class reunion or something like that. But it's good, important stuff. So tell me things that are important. Tell me what's important that you would tell decision makers, policy makers right now. I mean, you're a mom. I keep saying you're a mom advocate. But
I think I want to go back to, I appreciate your circling back to that. What would I tell them? But one thing I want to go back to is the leadership part of it, right? Harvey, we were talking about leadership. And if you haven't seen Dr. Terry Nolan speak on leadership, I got to see her at Plain Talk. I sat in her session with crying. I was crying. Her message is there's a leader in all of us. So here we talk about leaders, decision makers, and then you mentioned a minute ago, classroom teachers. And the classroom teacher is the leader. So, you know, there's a leader in all of us is her message. You don't, it doesn't matter what your title is, what degrees you have, what role you play. I was just a mom. In fact, I was a stay-at-home mom for 14 years. I did all the things with my boys that I thought I should do to prepare him to learn to read, all the things. We went to story time at the library every week. He loved books. I thought for sure he was ready to go. And then I ran into this wall, and then my story started of where I'm at. But there's the leader in me as just a mom. Terry says, you're not just a mom. You're not just a teacher. I want you to remove just. There's a leader in all of us, and we all have a responsibility in it. That's the big thing. Change isn't going to happen if all of us sit around and wait for these leaders that are down at the Capitol or that have these big positions as the district superintendent or the big position as the state superintendent or the senator that says well, I'm a parent. We're all parents. Those are them. That type of leader. But I'm a leader. I'm a mom that has done something and led something, and a teacher can too. And quite honestly, it's their responsibility. Don't be so fearful. Your voice matters. You go to school every day and you're working with those children, and you know firsthand what is needed. So raise your voice. Be empowered to raise your voice. So many teachers are so afraid. I don't want to lose my job, Robin. How sad is that? You don't want to lose your job? Well, then tell me what you want me to say, because again, nobody can fire me. Nobody can fire me from being the angry mom. I'll say it. But I want you, school teacher, to be equally empowered, because I can't do this work alone. I can't. I have the role as the angry mom. You have the role as the teacher that sees it every day in the classroom. And then we bring in the greats like Dr. Nell and Louisa, and they are the researchers and the experts, and we all come together. And that's what's going to create change. But there's a leader in all of us. So I don't want to put so much heavy weight on this superintendent or the senators and decision makers. We're all decision makers, right? So I'm just going to say that.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. I love that. Oh my God. Do you hear the sirens coming? You're on fire, baby. The fire trucks are coming. Oh my gosh. Oh my. But you know what?
No, it makes me angry. Like, if I didn't raise my voice, I'm not a leader, Harvey, at all. I don't even have a college degree. I didn't get through college because I probably am dyslexic, and it was so hard for me. School was so hard for me. So I gave up. I was getting great job offers. I'm like, what do I need college for? Because it was hard. So I never saw myself as a leader, nor did I ever want to be one, quite honestly. Talking in front of people was my biggest fear. I mean, I would literally be like heart pounding out of my throat, and I had to speak before the House and the Senate. What? Yeah. And I forced myself to do that because I knew that I was sending my son. He's felt that same terror every day he had to walk into the classroom. And I packed his school lunch and I forced him into that setting, terrified. So if he's the hero, all of the kids like him are the heroes. You, Harvey, are the hero. So he had to go in and do something terrifying all day, every day. By God, I'm going to get through my fear of talking in front of people. And I did. And here I am talking to you.
Bingo.
So we're all leaders.
Bingo. Yeah. We're all leaders.
10,000
warriors, 10,000 leaders. Yeah, I love that stuff. That is great. The 10,000. I love that. We can make a difference. Okay, well, that was pretty hard to top.
I can't wait to see you in Big Sky and be on your panel. It's such an honor to be on your panel. I'll be sitting next to some of the greats. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And we could just close with, I don't know. I sent that QR code for MZ. So maybe we close with that.
Or that's going to be that. Keep going.
Or decoding dyslexia, find your chapter. If you're a mom that's early in this journey with your kiddo, find your Decoding Dyslexia state chapter, find the angry leader mom of your state, or call me if you can't find her. I can be zoomed into any state as an advocate. So yeah, find me at Robin at Decoding Dyslexia, Idaho.
That's perfect. Well, that's pretty darn good. I don't think we can top that. All right, my sister, I love you, and we're gonna get together, have a few laughs, and I'm bringing the crew out. We're gonna run into a bunch of people, and I'm gonna be looking for people to interview out there for the days afterwards, and we might do some more podcasts out there. So
Have you talked to Terry Nolan yet?
I have not interviewed her, and I'm gonna go in and have a meeting pretty soon with the crew, and we're gonna kind of figure out what we're doing when we get to Montana.
She'd be on my list for you just because
Are you
her
are you
message.
are you good friends with her? Do you know her now?
Mhm.
Just show a little ankle to her and let her know that I want to interview her, and then we'll be reaching out to her.
Perfect.
We're gonna. I have the guys there for a couple days after, and not a long time after, but we don't need much time, and if we find a good place, we can just set it up and either do a podcast with her or an interview with her. Cool.
She's just somebody I would put on your list for sure because she's kind of coming at literacy from that leadership angle, and it's so now I've become so passionate about that because I've done all this work. Harvey, we got legislation, we got all the things, but legislation is only as good as the ink on the paper. Like it's got to have a good leader behind it. So I'm now on her page about leadership because I don't want to see all the hard work that all of us are doing just fizzle away.
Life is for learning, man. Look at the journey we're on.
Yeah.
Look at the
Okay.
journey we're on. All
You're
right, sister.
amazing.
You're amazing. We'll be talking to you. We'll be reaching out to you. I'll probably touch base with you before we go get out west. And thank you for all the hard work you do.